Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started with today's video. I want to speak about this month. It's a new month, Oversoul October, and we're going to be talking all about this specific topic. All right, so this topic is really interesting to me because I've always thought of this epiphany of my life being like a movie. You guys know my book TPM, Theatroplasticity Method, and you guys know I have a background in acting or theater. And it really helped me to try to understand things from this perspective, which is the perspective of the higher self or the Oversoul. And this idea might go over some people's heads, but if you're listening already, it means that you have the karma in this lifetime to hear this message. So good for you. Let's get started. So I want you to think of your higher self like a movie director of your life. And you are the actor, you're the character playing throughout these scenes of your life, right? Whereas if you look at the acronym GOD, generator, operator, director, right? All of us are like split fractals of the divine. This is the monastery behind me, Serpom Monastery. So once you embody this understanding that there is this higher self, there is this director of this movie, and let this director make the best movie ever, right? Now, of course, you can't compare your movie to other people's movies because then that's not the point. But the point is, you're gonna do the best that you can to make sure that this movie is epic, okay? Now, there's certain ways that you can connect to your higher self. And one question that you can ask yourself is, how do I make a choice from fearlessness, blisscipline, which is the bliss of discipline, and honesty today? This is the way that your higher self engineers things. And this is the way that you want to think. Fearlessness, restraint or discipline, and honesty. And if you follow these three things, I guarantee you, any other thing is manageable from this frame. So, what makes your movie so cool? Your movie is cool because the higher self doesn't speak to you in very specific ways. It's not directing you very clearly, unless you have a very clean channel towards source energy, right? For our adepts, I shared a quick meditation, a standing meditation, which is very powerful, called the Pillar of Light. And you guys can practice that as well to be able to tap into this energy. However, I just like to imagine, I'll just put my phone down here. I just like to imagine that I'm bringing in energy from above me, and I'm kind of just allowing it to be placed under my lower dantian. Lower dantian is a little underneath your belly button. So if you imagine, if you inhale, taking energy up, and as you exhale, you ground the energy down, okay? Now there's another technique that I had learned called solar yoga. So when there's not much sun right now, but if you want to extract the wisdom from the sunlight, you put your finger into like almost a gun mudra, right? And you put it at the top of your head, and then you can inhale codes through your crown chakra and then embody it down, okay? Until it reaches your root. So if you think of the higher self's energy, it's connecting all your oversoul chakras to your crown chakra. So your crown chakra is almost like the receiver of the downloads and the energies, right? And then it goes through all of the chakra points and then grounds it back down to the root chakra, and then below it goes into the earth star chakra, and then below into the undersoul, okay? So a lot of people use different words for it. I mean, you can call it heaven and hell, right? Or something like this. But again, these are just dichotomies, right? This is not the proper understanding of what this higher self energy is about. So truly this higher self energy, if you really tap into it, is about much more than you think it is, okay? Because this higher self energy can be activated through the greatest epiphanies, right? So if you have epiphanies, like things that you're really working on and you're understanding, like, wait a minute, there's something here that I can look into, right? There's something powerful that I can absorb or learn about this thing here. Now, you'll notice that your higher self speaks to you in themes, and this is why each month we have a different theme. And with a different theme, you get little clues of what to do in terms of your avatar, right? Your incarnation in this lifetime. So you're going to get clues of how your higher self sounds like, how they speak, how they walk, how they talk, how they breathe, right? How they interact and engage with someone. You're going to learn all these different ways to understand how this Oversoul functions properly, right? And you can even get it through the avenue of deities or spirit guides at times. They might show up. They might be other fractalizations of your future, selves. So you cannot see that directly, but you will get signs, symbols, synchronicities showing up that make you understand that, wait a minute, the director of the movie is telling me to go here and do this, right? And so once you really get that, it makes everything else really, really potent and powerful, right? So one thing to notice is that when you are tapped into this Oversoul energy, you are going to notice an elation type of feeling where you're going to have much more of a reservoir of energy, okay, through your beingness. That's one of the symbols and signs that I've noticed when I'm working with these higher energies, you could say, is I feel a lot more expansive with my energy, right? Meaning my consciousness is not just down here in my physical animal body, I'm going beyond human, almost in a sense, right? That's what it feels like. Going beyond the human conditioning of this planet, right? Into something where you're self-generating into a higher being. This understanding of your true self, which is your I am presence. And we are the sentience. And you have to understand that your ego mind identity is created through limitations, and it is associated with your time, right? Karma is just another way of saying time. So if you understand that, how are you using your time, right? And are you creating pockets of timelessness, flow state throughout your day? Moments of timelessness will make your days feel as long as ever, right? Like a never-ending journey. And that's an amazing thing, actually. But if you're constantly criticizing yourself and you're complicating and overcomplicating your life, that's because your ego mind identity has grasped onto fear, and now it's creating limiting thinking in your mind, which is causing more of a constriction type of feeling, like you can't really expand or express yourself, right? And so that's how I want you to think about this. Now, being around here, talking with the monks and so forth, is a very enlivening energy, and I feel it through my chakras. I feel it through my energy body, right? Their presence, the way that they maintain eye contact, their kindness, they're always smiling, man. They're always smiling. It's wild, actually. So it's very cool to see and witness, and it's getting me to realize, like, wait a minute, this is within me too, right? You can actually give that radiance out to people, and you get it back tenfold. The universe goes, okay, this person is modest. I got this from Ellie. This person is so modest. Let me just, give them everything. There's a story that my dad was sharing. There was a lion of the jungle, and all the other animals were scared of it, right? And this is actually how we think, guys. So listen to the story. So there's a lion, right? Alpha, king of the jungle. All the other animals are scared of it. and it tears all animals that come close to it to pieces. If you think about that energy, right? Now, there are several animals that were kind of plotting against this lion and thinking like, what are ways that I could get this lion away from this jungle into somewhere else, right? How can they protect themselves in a sense? And there was this one very smart rabbit who told the lion that, you know what? There's a lion out there, and it's actually the most badass lion. It's better than you, right? That lion is way stronger than you, way more dominant than you, and it eats a lot more animals than you, right? And so then the lion's ego got affected, right? Got triggered. This is to understand how fragile our egos actually are, right? That we get so perturbed, like, oh, what? There's someone better than me? Come on then, right? And that's kind of the competitive mindset instead of the collaborative, echo chamber. So anyway, so this lion follows this hare or this rabbit and eventually comes across a well, right? Now the lion obviously doesn't know too much about the well, but says that there's another lion down the well, right? And so of course the lion starts roaring at the lion like, I'm the best lion. And then it echoes back, right? Because the well is like full of water. So it echoed back. And then it said, no, I'm the best lion. And it echoed back to him. Like, oh yeah, you want to find out, right? Oh yeah, you want to find out? It echoes back. So whatever this lion is saying into the well, it echoes back. And after a while, he gets so perturbed, he gets so angry. He just goes down the well, and the lion falls down the well. Okay, that's the story. Now, this is what you're doing in your own life. You're letting these little incidences, right, trick you into thinking that you're yelling at somebody, you've one-upped them, you've beat them, you've defeated them, but really all you're doing is yelling into a well, right? And this is the trick of the ego. So if you can understand this trick, you can expose it to the light, right? What do I mean by expose it to the light? If you have something that's bothering you, that's just in the back of your mind, you just need to say it out loud to somebody, and then it's gone, right? As someone has acknowledged, and there's another pair of eyes watching that experience of yours, and it's not kept in this vague, hidden, amorphous world, but it's kept outside. You've expressed it out now. Now it has no power over you. If you're nervous to talk to someone and you tell them, listen, I'm nervous to talk to you right now, that frees up that awkwardness. But if you pretend you're not nervous, then I'm just gonna, mask this with fake confidence and just show that I'm the shit, right? That's gonna not help you in the long term because you're not following that honesty. There's no fearlessness associated with what you're doing. And, right, there is no discipline or restraint in a sense, right? So, well, this is a different kind of restraint, right? This is more of a constricting restraint where you're like trying to suppress yourself rather than express yourself honestly. So use this formula, guys, and it really helps you. Another question, of course, I used to ask, and you saw this in my few videos back, is what would the most loving and wisest version of me do, right? It's another great question that you can ask yourself. Give yourself these questions so it can activate this Oversoul energy this month, okay? Oh, you're not the only director. There might be other directors going around. But understand that none of them understand your movie like you, right? Like your higher self does. So other people might come along and impose what they think is the best movie ever, according to them, for you as the actor. So this is like other actors, right, coming in and being like, no, I think you should try this scene out like this, actually, Actually, I'm paid by the director, right? I don't need to listen to you, bro. Like, what do you mean? Right? You have no say in this scene. It's the director's choice, right? So when other people are imposing their will on you, just understand this mentality. This is really going to help you sharpen up. And once you sharpen up, man, it feels like anything is possible, right? Because once you feel scattered and split with so many things that you're doing, you can't really have that clean trajectory of your higher self mission that you're following, right? Your soul mission that you know is going to help somebody and help the planet eventually, because clearly you are the healer that has gotten burnt many times and been through the fire of transformation so that they can bring back the fireproof medicine. Another Uncle Makara quotable, man. I got all of these for days. Hey, man, come on now. Let's go then, okay? That's how my ego would interact with you guys. But again, my ego changes, and that's the cool part of it, right? It's not to get attached to the character you're playing so much, but it's to create this improvisational nature from the lines, right? Now, the director can tell you, and then you can interpret that differently and say the line differently. It's actually going to impact you greater, right? So think of it like this too, because I think this is another paradigm shift for a lot of people, is they're free to be themselves fully, right? Their idiosyncrasies, their quirks. You know, if I want to speak French, I can speak French. If I want to be the Chinese, I will be the Chinese. If I want to be Indian, I will be Indian. If I want to be British, of course, mate, I'm going to be British. Ain't a question about it, right? So how am I able to shapeshift like this so quick, so fast? And what's with the accents, man? Well, this is what I observed growing up. This is what I practiced in improvisational theater, right? So I could shift characters like that on the spot. And that's exactly our lives, right? You have a task right now, you have work to do perhaps, and you're playing a specific character. And that character is not a character that's being directed by your higher self. Oh no, it's what other people think of you, right? And their higher selves, right? Some people are so disconnected from their higher self, so they don't even know the word, or they don't even acknowledge the word, or they push it away as some kind of, you know, soft thing or whatever, rather than an actual experience, right? It's quite badass to understand your higher self, right? A lot of people treat it like some kind of a new age spiritual concept, and they just throw it away rather than embracing it. I'm telling you to embrace it. Double down on it this month, guys, because you understand there is this energetic thing moving you towards your greatness, right? And there are moments where it's not about you shining, but it's about you serving. And I think this is what it comes down to when we're thinking in terms of the higher self's energy. It's the energy of service. It's the energy to create a harmony on this planet. You know, there's a concept from Hinduism called Vasudeva Kutumbakum. It means one world, one family. How beautiful is that concept, right? To think of everybody as a part of your giant family on Earth. And not to get, you know, so sidetracked when someone's making fun of you, for instance. There was a coach that I had trained with who was telling me this. Now, this is a very weird thing to do, and it's quite outlandish. I don't recommend it, and I'm not recommending it because you might get in trouble. But what I am saying, and my outlaw brain is telling me this, is try it out, you know? This might free up some resistance within you. So think about the thing that triggers you so much, right? The most. And I want you to create an altar of that thing that annoys you and pray to it, give it offerings, light candles to it, you know, give it the energy that you would give a guide or a deity that you worship, right? So go a little bit into a worship of the thing that triggers you, because this will free up some constricted energy within you so that your higher self can flow, right? For instance, let's say you're a Jewish woman who hates Hitler, right? You put up a, you know, imagery of Hitler, you give him flowers. Now, of course, this is not for everybody, right? This activity. And I think it's important for us to understand that just because you're like, I hate Donald Trump, you don't need to make an altar of Donald Trump. But what I am saying is focus on the resistance aspect, right? Focus on the things that are really going to help you to move this thing along forward, right? It's raining heavily, as you guys can see, so I'm going to head back in. But this was a fun video to make. I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you, and stay legendary. You got this. We got this. Upward Spiral gang. May we never be the same again. Take care. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon. Oversoul October. Let's get it. Boom.